Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. Reflections of the Hollow Court. Episode 3. Mirror Me No More. The thing behind the mirror blinked, and the hollow court flinched. Not a ripple, not a murmur, a full, instinctive recoil. Every noble stilled, every whisper died, even the endless chorus of the mirrors fell into suffocating silence, as if the world itself had forgotten how to speak. Lyra couldn't breathe. The fracture above them pulsed like a wound in reality. Blackness seeped through it, not empty, not void, but watching. Knowing. Hunger pressed against her thoughts, not as a feeling, but as a truth that had always been there, waiting to be noticed. It sees, the throne figure said, their voice no longer smooth. It trembled, just slightly. It always sees. What is it? Lyra whispered. The answer came from everywhere. From every shard of glass. From every trembling reflection. From inside her own skull. The first reflection. The words were not spoken, they were remembered. The crack spread. Light twisted inward, dragged toward that impossible darkness. The mirrors along the walls shuddered, some splintering, others warping as if trying to hide. It shouldn't be awake, the throne figure muttered, stepping forward, their composure unraveling. Not yet. Not because of you. Lyra staggered back. Because of me? Her reflection still gripped her wrist, harder now. Yes, it said, voice low and urgent. You broke the pattern. What pattern? The lie, it snapped. The exchange is supposed to be clean. Seamless. One replaces the other. The court feeds. The world forgets. Another pulse. The crack widened. A shape moved behind it, vast and slow, like something too large to exist fully in any one place. But you, the reflection continued, eyes locked on hers, you didn't disappear. Lyra's chest tightened. I'm right here. No, it said sharply. You resisted. A beat. That's not allowed. Above them, in the shattered mirror. The queen's chamber flickered back into view. But it was wrong now. Distorted. Unstable. The queen stood perfectly still, her hand still resting on the cheek of Lyra's replacement. But her face was splitting, not physically. Reflection. Layers of her, overlapping, misaligned. Like too many truths trying to occupy the same space. She knows, Lyra breathed. The reflection nodded grimly. And when she knows fully. The throne figure finished the thought. She will call judgment. The court stirred uneasily. Even Lady Vera looked uncertain now, her glass teeth no longer gleaming with hunger, but tension. Judgment means collapse, she said quietly. The boundary breaks. The court feeds uncontrollably. Lyra looked between them. And me? The throne figure met her gaze. You are the fault line. The crack tore open. This time, there was no slow fracture. No warning. It split wide with a sound like reality being peeled apart. And something leaned through. Not fully. Never fully. Just enough. A suggestion of a face. Made of every reflection that had ever existed. Eyes that were not eyes. But endless mirrors, each one containing a version of Lyra. Dead. Crowned. Forgotten. Consumed. The first reflection had found her. The court fell to its knees. Every noble bowed their heads. Even the throne figure lowered their gaze, though their hands clenched tightly at their sides. Do not look at it, they whispered. Lyra didn't listen. She couldn't, because it was already looking at her. And in that gaze, she understood. The court, the mirrors, the queen, the exchanges, the hunger. It wasn't random. It was a system, a cycle. Reflections were not copies. They were choices. Every mirror held a possibility. Every exchange was a selection. And the first reflection chose which version of reality remained. Lyra's voice came out thin. It's not feeding. The throne figure's head snapped up. It's deciding, she finished. Silence. Then, the first reflection moved. A tendril of darkness slid through the crack, reaching toward her. Not violently, not quickly, inevitably, choosing. Now, her reflection whispered, grabbing her shoulders. You understand. Lyra tore her eyes away from the entity, gasping. Understand what? That this was never about escaping. The reflection's expression hardened. It's about replacing. Lyra shook her head. No, no, I won't. You already are, it snapped. The mirrors around them lit up, showing her again, dancing, smiling, enduring, becoming. You felt it, the reflection pressed. The court listens to you now. The throne. Lyra turned. The mirrored throne was no longer occupied. The figure who had ruled it was gone. Vanished. The court shifted, restless. Waiting. For a new queen, the reflection finished softly. Lyra's stomach dropped. No. You can take it, it said. Control the court. Control the exchanges. You could go back, properly this time. Not as a servant. It leaned closer. But as something they fear. A pause. Something they obey. The tendril of the first reflection brushed her arm. Cold. Endless. And suddenly, she saw it. A future. Herself on the throne. The court bending. The queen kneeling. The mirrors silent. Obedient. No more fear. No more loss. Control. Power. Certainty. Her breath slowed. Her pulse steadied. It would be so easy. Don't. The word cut through everything. Lyra blinked. Her reflection was staring at her. Not with hunger. Not with mockery. But something else. Something almost human. If you take it, it said quietly, you won't be you anymore. Lyra swallowed. And if I don't? The reflection hesitated. For the first time. I don't know. The first reflection pulsed again. The court trembled. Time was breaking. Choice was coming. Lyra closed her eyes. She thought of the palace. Of the quiet halls. Of the life she'd had. Small. Insignificant. But hers. She thought of the queen. Of that cold, distant presence. Of the system that fed on people like her. On reflections. Her eyes opened. Clear. Sharp. Certain. I won't replace anyone. The court went still. The reflection exhaled slowly. Then what will you do? Lyra turned toward the endless mirrors. Toward the crack. Toward the thing that chose realities. And she smiled. Not in defiance. Not in fear. But in understanding. I'll break the choice. She stepped forward. And plunged her hand directly into the fracture. The court screamed. The first reflection reacted instantly. Darkness surged, wrapping around her arm, pulling, testing, resisting. But Lyra held on. Every mirror in the court lit up at once, showing every version of her. Every possible self. Every reflection. I am not a selection, she said, her voice echoing across all of them. The darkness tightened. The visions blurred. You don't get to decide who I am. The tendril lashed violently. But something changed. The reflections started to crack, not from force, from agreement. One by one, they shattered. Each breaking mirror collapsing a possibility. Each fracture removing a version. Until only one remained. Her. Whole. Unchosen. Free. The first reflection recoiled. For the first time. It failed. The crack collapsed. Light imploded. And the hollow court. Shattered. Lyra fell. Not through mirrors. Not through darkness. But into something simple. Solid. Real. She hit the cold marble floor of the queen's chamber. Breathing hard. Alive. The mirror before her stood still. Silent. Dead. Behind her. The queen. Lyra turned slowly. The queen stared at her. For once, there was no reflection behind her. No echo. No distortion. Just one. Interesting, the queen said softly. Lyra stood, shaking, but steady. It's over, she said. The queen tilted her head. Is it? A pause. Then, the queen smiled. Not cold, not distant, but knowing. You've done something unprecedented. Lyra's chest tightened. The mirrors are broken. Yes, the queen said. Her gaze sharpened, but so is the boundary. Lyra's breath caught. The room felt different now. Thinner, fragile, like something vast had been held back. And no longer was. The queen stepped closer. "Tell me," she said softly, when there are no reflections left to choose from. Her eyes gleamed. "What do you think comes next?" Lyra didn't answer. Because deep down, she already knew. Far beyond the palace, far beyond the shattered court, something ancient stirred again, not watching this time, not choosing, but waiting, for a world with no mirrors left to hide behind. For more stories, like and subscribe.